Lisa. We are here from PNA, Pennsylvania News Association. Today, the American History program is joining us. They picked Bob to tell us about the life of Thomas Paine. Now, Bob, tell us about his early life in England.
Thank you, Melissa, for inviting me. Thomas Paine was a firebrand of the Revolution, someone who gives encouragement to gain independence, and in this case, independence from Britain. And at that time, there were three firebrands, which was Patrick Henry, Samuel Adams, and Thomas Paine. And Thomas Paine was the one who stood out to me. He was a political theorist and agitator. He was an American English writer whose writings influenced the American Revolution and helped pave a way to the Declaration of Independence. Now, his formal education in his early life was slight, but he still learned how to read, write, and arithmetic. And as he grew older, his family became poor, and he had to help out his family. So he always found a way to make money and gain knowledge from that job. For example, he was a tax collector, but at the same time, he studied science and mechanics. But his life in England was marked by repeated failures because he couldn't succeed at any job. He was constantly fired, and his opportunities in England began to fade away. And I can give an example where Thomas Paine was once an excise officer, and an excise officer was someone who puts tax on certain goods like liquor or rum. And as the days passed, he published a book which was The Case of the Excise, which argued higher pay for excise officers. Now, of course, he was fired from that, and at that time, he met Benjamin Franklin, who persuaded Thomas to immigrate to America, or at the time, the 13 colonies. And the reason Benjamin Franklin persuaded him to go to America was because by Franklin, he was known as the genius in his eyes. And Franklin granted a position for Thomas Paine to become an editor for the Pennsylvania magazine. And that's, his early life and how he moved from England to America.
Yes, that was very challenging. Then, how did they contribute to the American Revolution?
That's a very good question because not a lot of people know that. You see, while working on the Pennsylvania magazine, Benjamin Rush encouraged Thomas Paine to, write a pamphlet to help, the colonies. And as of today, it was the most influential pamphlet, which is called The Common Sense, and it brought an idea to an undecided public opinion that independence from Britain was a necessity or mandatory. Paine urged that the colonists should make a new government where people will rule themselves. And when I say an undecided public opinion, I meant that the colonies were split on a question if breaking away from Britain was mandatory. And at first, Thomas Paine published Common Sense anonymously. However, eventually, more than 500,000 copies were sold to colonists, which forced Thomas Paine to acknowledge his authorship. That pamphlet, contained powerful essays, but it was wrote in a plain style. It forgo philosophical ponderings and relied only on biblical references. And another pamphlet, Thomas wrote was the Crisis Paper, which helped build morals for soldiers and troops, and it contributed to the Paine's Patriots' cause, not Paine's cause, Patriots' cause. At that time, Paine joined the army and saw firsthand how the American forces were struggling. New York was being overthrown by Britain, Washington forces were being annihilated, and in total, there were 15 crises papers. And the troops were ordered to read all of the crisis papers in order to gain victory. And throughout his, American adventure, he was given many opportunities to share his brilliant ideas. He joined the Second Continental Congress, which backfired because he revealed secret documents to the Congress and the public. But then he was appointed as clerk of the General Assembly of Pennsylvania.
Are there any inspiring words from Thomas Paine?
In fact, Melissa, I will want to share two of my favorite quotes. And I have my Thomas Paine history book with here, and I can share with you number one in the Crises paper, which begins, "There are times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriots will, in this crisis, shrink from the service of their country. But he that stands in now deserves the love and thanks of man and woman. The harder the conflict, the more glorious the triumph." And the last crisis piece states, "The times that try men's souls are over, and the greatest and completest revolution the world ever knew, glorious and happily accomplished." These are one of my favorite quotes.
Very interesting. Then what happened after the Revolution War?
After the Revolutionary War, he contributed to the American troops. Thomas observed that the American troops were being displeased because of low or no pay and had a shortage of supplies. This encouraged Thomas Paine to start a drive or an effort to achieve a particular purpose or goal. He raised money and supplies for the American troops. And also, he became an engineer and inventor, like Benjamin Franklin, where he created a crane for lifting heavy objects, a smokeless candle, and generating power by using gunpowder. Paine also succeeded in building a 240-foot iron bridge, which took several attempts in America. Later in his life, Thomas Paine betrayed America. He created a pamphlet called The Age of Reason because he argued of the position of deism in America, or regarding a place for religion in society. After many years, he apologized and was given another chance because he made an alliance with France. That happened when there was a war between France and Edmund Burke's authority on Britain, and he became a citizen where he created a pamphlet to overthrow the Britain. Sadly, though, Thomas Paine died on June 8th, 1809 in New York City. Thank you, Melissa, for having me, and I hope you have a good day.
Thank you, Bob. We are happy to have you. That's it, people. Hope you learned something today. PNA will be back next Wednesday from 11 to 12 in the afternoon. I'm Melissa, and I will end it with montage.